All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode of AI for Breakfast. I'm Chan Bobbitt. I'm gonna be spearheading this call today. Steve, he's traveling right now. He's in Colombia. For those of you who do not know, he's over there building the resort Luminara right now, and I'm pretty sure he'll come on because we will at some point probably be leveraging some sort of AI, with the company and etc. Right, but I'm gonna save that for Steve. I'll let him share that. But today, I want to go over a couple things with you all. Before I started recording, and I probably should have started a couple minutes ago, um, we were getting into discussion of the convenience handcuff, right? Picking your poison. So today on AI for Breakfast, what we're going to go over is people blindly giving up their privileges, their rights, their permissions to be able to leverage technology and information, right? And we're in a new data world. Everything is going to be data heavy. But the same way that we want money to move, data has to move, right? It can be utilized for a multitude of things, right? And in some situations, especially in military and in defense, it can be the difference between life or death. But I want you guys to take a step back and apply this to your own lives. Yes, everybody is not in the military. Everybody is not tactical. Everybody doesn't move under that paradigm. But what we are users of the same technology. And a lot of the um, permissions, the rights, the freedoms, and things that we do give away blindly just to be able to use certain apps, that in itself is a war. You're giving up your protections, the very thing that makes you unique, right? And these companies are paying billions and trillions of dollars for so that they can make trillions and billions of dollars off. And it's off of you guys' data, your information. All right. So I'm gonna walk you guys through one of the companies that it kind of like struck a huge nerve, right? I wanna lay this out flawlessly. So I want you guys just to walk with me as I go through this. So there's one company in mind, right? It is a $300 billion ghost company that most Americans have never even heard of. It's a company that's already embedded in the DNA of government, the United States government, right? It's working with other nations as well, Wall Street and big tech that the CIA can't spy without it. The Pentagon can't fight without it, and the markets can't trade without it. Do me a favor, if you've ever heard of this company, drop a one in the chat. Their name is Palantir, Palantir. All right. So that's great. I'm glad a lot of you guys are familiar with it. So for those of you who aren't, Palantir was born in the shadows of 9/11, right? It was funded by PayPal's Peter Thiel. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the PayPal Mafia. Everybody's heard of PayPal, but PayPal Mafia, Peter Thiel was one of those guys who was a part of that collective effort. And the CIA's venture arm is called InQTel, IN-Q-TEL. You guys could do your research on those. Now, basically, it was built as a weaponized AI crystal ball, right? It was designed not to just see what you've done, but to actually predict what you're going to do next. From day one, the mission was never about protection, right? It was always about profiling. Every single bite of your life fused together to create a behavioral fingerprint. The end goal, basically to predict your future decisions before you ever even have to make them. So while Silicon Valley was distracted and they were giving guys dopamine driven apps, you already know where I'm going with this, right? Your X's, your Facebooks, your Instagrams, all things, right? Anything that would basically keep you scrolling for hours on time, giving you those quick doses of hits. Even YouTube's guilty of this. Palantir quietly plugged itself into the foundations of society, the banking systems, the telecom towers, hospital records, airports, CCTV feeds, right? Social media fire hoses. You thought you were trading privacy for convenience, but in reality, you were basically signing over your consent. And it was all buried in the fine print. It was in the terms and conditions that most people never, ever, ever read. Now, let me ask y'all something. When you use a new app, right? Honestly, answer this honestly. Do you guys read the terms and conditions, or do you just click the box and proceed? I figured that. And I'm guilty of it myself, right? I just had to change the way I was operating because that's not it. So what Palantir did with that ocean of data, basically they started to build patterns. It watches the receipts from your midnight grocery run, your 3 a.m. Google searches. It notices the change in your jogging routine. And when your behavior starts to deviate from what was expected, it flags it as like an anomaly and it'll send alerts directly to government dashboards that exist. What do you think that's called? It's one word: surveillance. Now, when you factor in the movements that you're making, when you're making your moves, and anytime that you operate outside of the normalcy that you technically have always operated in, it's called behavioral surveillance. And guess who enabled it? We did. The CIA actually handed Palantir access to national security networks. Wall Street discovered it's much darker magic, right? Predicting human fear and greed, and it began paying millions to front run global markets. JP Morgan even used Palantir to spy on their own employees. Their emails, the phone calls, the badge swipes, executives were tracked without permission. Yes, without permission. Inside of their own buildings, nothing, absolutely nothing was private. And that's wild to me. So this is the invisible eye, like not just monitoring harm, but preemptively profiling people, citizens, because they're considered quote unquote threats, right? Watching them, governing them with absolute precision. This is what Palantir calls predictive governance, controlling the data, controlling the narrative, controlling your decisions. And they nudge societies without them ever even knowing that they're actually being nudged. And this is beyond unsettling. So I want you guys to think about this. We live in an age where AI promises to make everything easier, right? Faster answers, smarter tools, cheaper services, safer neighborhoods, right? But behind the shine of all of this stuff is a convenience of lies. It's a hidden cost, right? Your rights, your privacy, and in many cases, your freedom. So every one of those answers that you guys gave in the chat, you guys were spot on 100%. Now, think about Palantir. Here's the thing that people don't really like consider. I started off the call telling you guys that it was a $300 billion company. But did you know for 17 years, Palantir didn't make a dime whatsoever? Now they're worth over 300 billion, $300 billion, right? They're on par with Bank of America. Just to put that in perspective, Bank of America is your top five bank. It's been around for ages. Palantir has been around for ages, but they never made any money. Now you should ask yourself why. Governments can't spy, fight, or even manage immigration without Palantir, excuse me. The Pentagon, they extended a $795 million contract. ICE paid 30 million for immigration OS. And then in the UK, they have the system, NHS. They handed them 330 million pounds for health data, right? They created that platform. 330 million. That's not a conspiracy. All of this stuff right here is all public record. This is all verifiable. And it was all powered not by force, but by consent. Literally by us clicking, I agree when it came to those terms and conditions. And Palantir, they're just one piece of the puzzle. There's other systems, there's other AIs, there's other businesses, verticals that all are doing the same exact thing. That's the wild part about this. So they have this thing called, I don't know if you guys ever heard of it. It's called Clearview AI. They built a face print database of billions of images that were scraped from the internet, faces of people like you and me, and they never, ever asked for our permission. Flock safety cameras, they were quietly map vehicle movements, and they were tracking people's movements, vehicle movements across multiple states, right? And it was feeding that information back to federal agencies. I know you guys have this, most of us do. Amazon Ring cameras. If you got a Ring camera, do me a favor, drop a one in the chat. It's wild. Because I got three of them. And when I seen this, I already knew what I knew, right? Just because of experience, right? But the wildest part behind that is it started off as just a doorbell cam. And then it became a portal for law enforcement. Anytime something happens in your neighborhood, they don't need the cameras that's in the lights, the street lights anymore, and the street posts. Have you noticed that? A lot of the street posts, they're gone. They don't even service them no more. In my mom's neighborhood in North Carolina, they don't even service the light posts. That light post has been flickering in front of my mom's crib probably since I was probably 15, 16 years old. That thing has never been serviced. Guess what they're using right now? Your Ring camera. Anytime something happens, it could be an accident, it could be a fight, it could be a domestic dispute, etc. They come right to your doorstep and they'll say, "Hey, I noticed that you got a Ring camera. We just want to get access to the footage." And a lot of times now, as time has been progressing and things have been kind of happening, they don't even come to you anymore. My mom received something in the mail because of something that happened in the street between my next door neighbor and across the street from them. There was a dispute that happened and they kind of wanted to see what was going on. My mom has a Ring camera that's kind of facing in that direction, right? And it's got a super wide lens, so it's able to kind of see, that area. They didn't even ask my parents what was happening. They sent them a notice in the mail that just said basically your Ring information is going to be subpoenaed, right? It's going to be taken, it's going to be utilized, and we're going to use this for a legal purpose. I said to myself, this is wild. How is this even possible? Right? That's like when you think about it, this is the stuff that goes on right outside of your door. This is your Ring camera. You paid for this. Nobody else paid for this, right? Am I wrong? Did the government give you guys extra money for you to go out and buy your Ring cameras for those of you who put that you have a Ring camera? Because I know we didn't get any extra money. We spent that out of the pocket, right? We installed it, set up the accounts, paid a little monthly fee or whatever it is, and we're good, or annual fee, and it's good. These are the type of permissions that we sign away, not knowing that it's always in a fine print. This is why I strongly urge everybody that even though we have the convenience of being able to see what's happening, and me, I can log into my parents' Ring camera right now and I can see everything that's going on in the house, and I'm out of state. I'm outside of Georgia. I'm in Georgia, right? So I'm outside of Atlanta and I'm with my family. But if I ever needed to see what was going on or check in and just see how the neighborhood's looking, see if somebody cut the grass or see if there's somebody knocking on the door that I just don't know who it is and I just want to monitor things, I can do that. But what gives anybody else the right to be able to tap into that camera? Ultimately, at some point in the fine print, we gave them access. And again, they're not the only ones. This is just one of the most relatable things that kind of come into play when I start looking at the convenience culture. We do a lot of things moving fast because we think it's going to make things way more convenient. So we're able to give up a lot of our liberties, our freedoms, our privacy, just to be able to use something. So what we did was we welcomed these type of instances that actually happen. We traded privacy for speed. We didn't lose rights at gunpoint. We literally clicked the button and signed them away. So today we're basically going to unpack the poison hidden in convenience. I'm going to show you guys how to use AI without being used by AI. Because the real battle isn't about whether AI is good or bad. It's about whether you control the technology or the technology controls you. All right. So We don't hand over our rights whatsoever by gunpoint, right? It's always in those terms. Anytime you see something that says you have to agree or disagree, you have to approve or deny something, those little tiny choices are just the face, right? That's just what you see. So ultimately, you just click approve blindly and you keep moving along, right? But behind that, it's an entire industry that watches, models, and it's going to nudge human behavior at a scale that we've never ever seen before. We've never witnessed this before. And Palantir is that one, right? It's wild to me of what they've been doing. That ICE contract that they got for 30 million through that immigration OS platform, that's literally used to help track and deport people, adding to an earlier contract that they had already, they've been dealing with the government. So this was just an extension. So they paid another $30 million to this company to help get people out of the United States, right? To deport people, to track people down and identify people. And then the Pentagon, they expanded Palantir's, it's called Moving Smart System, right? That was for battlefield AI. That was an Army contract for almost $800 million. And that goes all the way out to 2030. These are real signed public contracts. And this is uncomfortable. Much of that data that fuels behavior analytics, it flows through the choices that we make every single day. The apps, the loyalty cards, sharing our location, using smart devices, right? And every single time we always are met with these terms and conditions. We're seeding them. We're giving them away. Clearview AI, they scrape billions of faces from the internet. Just the public web. They went right on the web. They integrated their technology. My face, your face, everybody's. Our faces, our facial data print is there. And you know who they sold it to? Law enforcement. Like that, it's wild to see like this is a possibility, but now this is all being done through AI. So now you have to factor in what is happening in the world around you and what are you doing in the world that is on display publicly. So anybody who has children, you know how sometimes we let our kids use an app, right? And we just monitor them. We might follow them on Instagram and we just kind of see the things that they post, they put in their stories, etc., right? Think about the things that are literally being sent in the DMs, right? Think about the fake pages that they make, but they still upload their faces, right? They create multiple accounts and things like that, right? The TikToks and all things. They definitely don't know, right? So this is why these talks matter the most because we have to make the adults in the room aware of what's happening because now the adults have a bigger responsibility in this day and age. I just gave you guys a couple examples, but just mostly Palantir, right? I'm gonna go through the rest of these and I'm gonna kind of highlight a couple things just so you understand how important this is. But if we don't step in and we don't stop moving so fast, so abrupt, just to be able to use something that's free, and then we become the products of it, we're doomed. We are absolutely doomed. So with this Clearview AI situation, right? I have a big problem with that, right? But it's a reality. This is something that just ultimately exists, right? The ACLU, um, they were sued under Illinois biometric privacy law, right? Clearview agreed that it's permanently banned worldwide from selling its face database to most private companies, but it never stopped being able to sell it and give access to law enforcement. This is a live issue. So think about this. When you go shopping, right? You're out and about. minding your business, right? Everybody doesn't have something covering their faces, right? You don't have garments that are scrambling, you know what I mean, your facial recognition. So what is this doing? This is literally turning us into a Chinese police state. And I want you to ask yourself, did you subscribe to that? Did you say that that was okay? Because I didn't. And this is a genuine ask. Like, did you guys ever remember doing anything or granting anybody access just to be able to capture your likeness? What are they doing with this information? Where does this go? Right? Every time you go into a store, even in self-checkout, what's in front of you? It's a camera, right? While you're checking out your goods and services, you're doing the honest thing. You're paying for things, but guess what? What they're doing? They're surveilling you the entire time. There's this company called Babel Street, right? They sell tools that let the government agencies analyze social media and track your phone via advertising IDs. They use a product called Locate X, right? Basically, this draws a digital fence around places and following devices that enter and leave that space. DHS purchased access to these location data sets. Civil liberty groups warn that this in itself can sidestep warrant protections. This year, 2025, Amnesty warned about authorities using these tools from Palantir and Babel Street to basically surveil migrants and pro-Palestinian protesters. That's wild. So now, whenever you have a stance about something, whenever you feel like I'm pro-Palestine or I'm pro whatever, and there's something that you've seen where this group of people have been wronged, and you want to voice your actual freedom, your actual liberty to go out and protest, right? You have the right to a peaceful protest. You have to know in advance that there's apps and surveillance tools all around you where they use artificial intelligence and they're literally tracking you. They're literally camera has eyes on you, and this information is being loaded into some database that's being sold to the government, to police force. That's wild. It's insane. There's another company. This company is called Flock Safety. They installed automated license plate readers across thousands of United States communities. They created basically a nationwide network of vehicle location data. This year, reporting and state audits revealed that federal access to Flock's data happened and it breached all forms of trust. It raised legal concerns. People were in an uproar. I didn't know anything about this, but think about it. If you live in a state that has tolls, they have cameras that show you on these roads. Sometimes you're on certain highways and byways and you got an HOV lane and you'll see a sign that says you're being tracked or you're being followed by, automation detective detection services. Ultimately, there's some sort of beacon or some sort of camera that's somewhere close by, whether it be in a helicopter, whether it be a satellite, quote unquote, or just something that they've installed somewhere that's able to kind of track everything that you're doing. Nine times out of 10, it's artificial intelligence, it's camera services, and it's things that's being developed without anybody ever knowing. And you know how they get passed, quote unquote, in the law? Because we blindly opt to have these leaders represent us on a state level. And these guys are in bed with these private companies, with these private entities, with these tech companies. And these tech companies are doing everything in their power to essentially remove your freedoms, your rights in the name of quote unquote neighborhood safety. Now these companies are able to just basically track us through various systems. They have contracts. But do you have a contract? Was it something that you actually signed up for? Was it something that you did? And it always makes you think, like, is this legitimate? Is this something that's actually happening? Is this something that I can fight against? Absolutely. It is a multitude of things that you all can do. And we're going to get into that in a second. Um, there's one more company that I want to highlight. It's a company called Shot Spotter. Now they changed the name to it. It's called Sound Thinking. What they do is they placed AI assisted microphones to detect gunfire and dispatch police to areas, right? Immediately. Chicago canceled that system, right? And they had litigation against the company. And the wildest part behind that is it does not by itself justify like a stop and frisk situation. But think about that. Any single time that you hear a gunshot go off, right? It is sending police directly to you through sound, through artificial intelligence. Who told them that it was cool for them to put microphones anywhere else? Because if they can detect a gunshot, think about the other things that they're able to detect. Your voices, your communications. If you step outside and you're on the phone, let's say you're just getting some fresh air or you're taking the trash out and your phone rings and you have a personal conversation. How do you not know that it's not going to pick up the person's voice? These are your liberties, these are your freedoms. And this is wild to me. So not only are you being seen everywhere, you can be heard everywhere. They set up microphones, they set up uh, tracking devices in quadrants for your vehicle, for your license plate to be able to track you from point A to point B. All of these things are a convenience handcuff, especially when it comes to things like the Ring camera. Because yes, it has benefits to the end users. Yes, it is a great thing. It's a great tool to have, especially when we're in other locations and I can be able to chime in and see what's going on at my parents' house. That means the world to me because they're getting a little older. So it's like technology like that is an incredible thing. But it's when you start to get into these nuances, these fine details, and you actually start to go down these rabbit holes and you see what's happening in the world around us, you see what these tech companies are doing. These guys do not care about people. They care about their product, how they can scale their product, how they can sell their product, and it's a payday for them. I gave you examples, literally examples of what Palantir was doing. Palantir, 30 million for one contract, 795 million for another one, 330 million pounds in the UK. Like, this is one company. And I told you for 17 years, these guys never made a dollar. Every single one of these products that I've named just today, and there's many more, right? There's many, many more to go. It makes you truly consider like, if we keep allowing these things to just be, right? Just flow, just flourish, because we're blindly signing away our rights and our freedoms, we're literally contributing to a dystopia, to a surveillance state. And this thing is tracking our behaviors, our movements, and we just agree to it, whether we truly are conscious of it or not. So as I'm thinking about this, I want every single one of you, and this is in no way to scare anybody, right? This is just one of those situations where technology is going to continue to aid us. It's going to help us. It's going to help scale certain businesses that we all create because we're all creators, every single one of us. If I gave every single person Chat GPT and I paid for your $20 use for the month, right? And you had a business just for 1 month, you guys can take Chat GPT, have a marketing team, you can have an assistant, you can build an AI agent, you can have someone create copy for you, which is like your emails, your SMSs. You can have someone create a bio a website for you. Then there's other artificial intelligence platforms that you can use that will take that information and they can literally run it as if they're a human person and you don't even have to think for it. It will automatically say, this is the business, this is what you want to achieve. I got it from here. And they'll take all of that data, all of that information, and they scale it and they build stuff. This thing is amazing. This technology is next level, it's breathtaking. But I've already laid out in the talk how inconvenienced we are. We truly are. We start to become the product because we're blindly giving away our consent. We don't know these things because we're not slowing down. We're not taking the time to actually read the fine print, right? I want people to think about this. Justin, you are absolutely right. Your TV is listening. Not only is your TV listening, your smart devices are listening, right? Your Alexas, your phone, even your phone, iPhones, right? I love using my iPhone because it's super easy, right? I've never used it in Android, right? And it's no, I'm not throwing shade or nothing like that. We're adults. I just personally, I like the platform of the iPhone. I like the fact that you can sync your information across multiple devices. So if I'm using my MacBook, I can see things on a cloud that I took a picture of. I can migrate it right here, log into it. If I need to do something on the computer, if I need to make edits, send pictures and things like that, I can do it from both devices. It's just the ease of use. But the ease of use is just the pro to it. The con to it is the fact that right now, me and you are having a conversation. And if I say, and I open my phone right now, and I say, Nike, 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 Nike. Oh, I need a new pair of Nike shoes. Oh, I need to go running. I need to go to the gym so I can run. I've given this device everything that it needed to be able to sell me a Nike product or a running product or a gym product like that. And I didn't ask for it. I just had a simple conversation. How many times have you all had a regular conversation, right? Been looking at something online and then you go on Instagram and you see, or Facebook, and you see an ad for exactly what you were just talking about or looking for? I know I'm not the only person who experienced that. Absolutely, all the time. And that's the wild part. That's the part that people miss, right? You skip over it because blindly, what you're doing is you're using the convenience, right? You're exploiting the convenience of being able to use these mobile apps, get on and use this technology, right? But understand that behind the scenes of you just scrolling, getting your dopamine hit on Instagram, what you're also getting is you're getting an algorithm that's spearheaded directly for you. That algorithm is meant to make you a consumer, damn near a super consumer. So anytime that you talk, anytime that you start to utilize any of these smart devices, these smartphones, these smart TVs, smart refrigerators, right? These these algorithms, you're teaching it exactly what you need when you need it, how soon and fast do you need it, right? You're going through all of these things, but it doesn't stop it. The only person that can truly stop these things from actually happening is you. So this should leave you with a question. How do we use artificial intelligence as a whole, as a society, without being used by it? I'm gonna run you guys through a couple things, and then we'll get up out of here. Now, first things first, there's this premise, right? It's called interrogate the default. Every single app that you have on your phone, every single product that you purchase, right? That's a digital product in some shape, form, or fashion when it deals with a smart device, your computer, your phone, a tablet, etc. There are settings that are all available to us all, right? Turn off your precise location. First things first, turn it off. You have ad ID tracking, turn it off. You have background app permissions. Cut them off unless you truly need them. If you're using an app, so there's an app that my wife put me on to, right? I forgot the name of it, but it kind of tracks what where your child is at, right? Without needing like an air tag or things like that. In these days and times, people want to know what's happening with their children, where things are headed, etc. Right? So, and Steve just jumped on, so he's gonna I'm gonna let him rock you guys out in a second too. So the thing about what I'm seeing is you have the ability to be able to, and I'm gonna add Steve up here as a pin. So you have the ability to be able to track what's happening, right? What's going on with your child, or if you're putting this, it's on a mobile device. So everywhere that the phone goes, you're able to see it, right? So you're able to track something in real time. That's the only example where you would need to have precise location and background app permissions enabled, right? So for the most part, turn those things off. Second, read the data clauses. All of the fine print is where the steak and potatoes live. We always move super fast. We always just want to get through it, say I accept, and whatever happens, just happens. But we're blindly operating, not knowing at the end of the day, we're giving up our location, our biometrics, because we're doing Face ID, right? We don't know where that information is going. Apple could just tell us, hey, this is only used to open this app. But at the end of the day, Apple is a tech company as well. Apple is doing something with that information, with that data. Somebody is holding it, and we've given it up freely. The biggest thing is the access to your microphone and your camera. So I don't know if you guys ever noticed this, but there's a blue light on iPhones. If you cut the lights off and you just, let's say you're sitting in a dark room, you cut the lights off. If you have a blue light somewhere in the room, you can see constantly the front camera on your phone flashing, taking pictures. I did not know this until recently. So there's like a screen cover that you can actually put on the front of your camera. But anytime that just think about this, when you're in bed laying up, you're on your phone, you're laying in your bed. Now, this camera is taking pictures consistently. Where are those pictures going? Who has access to that? Then you have to think about this data sharing. Most people have data sharing enabled, and it'll say data sharing with quote unquote partners. Who are these partners? We had no clue who these people are. We don't have a partnership with them. It's through contracts, private contracts, public contracts, and they're legal contracts. So they're able to we're using a device, but as we're using a device, we're literally becoming the product. They're taking our information and they're sharing it somewhere elsewhere, which is ultimately going to either train another AI model, train some more technology, or at the end of the day, just kind of put us in a state where we're just always having to play defense in some shape, form, or fashion because they have our data. Our data is the product. We then become the product. This is why I love Steve making that he had the saying, and he can come on and say it the way he says it. He breaks that down so eloquently. But he's like, if you don't, it was like if you don't have the product, you become the product. It's ultimately you're sharing too much of your information, too much of your data. So those are the things that you have to look out for. Making sure that you actually read the clauses, read the data, the terms and conditions, the fine print. Um, Anytime that there's an app that you're using or a service that you're using, anytime that is tech based, what you guys have to do is enable end-to-end encrypted options, right? Or devices that allow that to actually happen, right? And they have this thing called local only processing. Many times, those are the things that you need to opt into. And you want to opt out where the laws allow your biometrics to be shared or exist in multiple states and countries. Biggest thing, when I was telling you guys about that, the license plates, being able to track your movements and put you basically in a quadrant as you're traveling, and it's tracking your movements and then selling it back to law enforcement. You want to ensure that You find out which vendors are being used when you find out information like this in your state. And you can Google this. You can use ChatGPT for this. 9 times out of 10, you'll be able to find it. You'll be able to uncover it. It's not difficult. You can see what information is actually being retained, who can search it, who can query it, who has access to it, who's the holder of this data, right? There's an audit trail that will tell you everything that you need to know. And most importantly, you have to start opting out. And you do that in the physical realm by voting with your wallet. This is your voice, right? Yes, you have to go vote. Yes, you have to see what these politicians are doing. Yes, you have to see who are the investors behind these politicians. Because when you vote these people into place, a lot of times these companies that are backing them, that are giving them capital, they will kind of give you an answer and it'll uncover everything behind what these guys are doing. So if you have a policymaker and this, you have a company like Palantir. Palantir might put a ton of bread behind one particular person and they push this person super hard. And then this guy, he's in front of you saying, hey, I'm always about the people. I'm always for the people. And then they actually show you by example what they're doing. You then can see, hey, these guys are being 9 times out of 10, it's political. These guys are being incentivized to come out and just be great in front of you. But in the back end, the same money that just pushed them to be in that political position is the same money that's being used against the very people that voted them into place. So you have to actually start asking people the hard questions. You have to come with receipts. You have to do deep dives. This is a responsibility of every single person outside of the tech. When we tell you guys on the crypto side, we tell everybody that security is everyone's job. So it doesn't just apply to the financial aspect, it applies to every single aspect of everyone's lives. We have to limit everyone else's ability to our data, our information. So at the end of the day, AI isn't the enemy by any means. It's unquestioned convenience. If we keep allowing all of the benefits that AI does bring, the safer streets, the better healthcare, the faster services, all of those type of things, we then got to pair them with consent that's informed. We have to have real oversight. And then default that it's always humans first. It's always people first. We are the biggest and best AI tool that ever existed. Our brains, we are. These AI models, they cannot grow, they cannot scale, they can't do anything without us being the architects, without our creative net. So the next time you guys are using some sort of app or anything that you're digitally attached to, or you're subscribing to a new service, and you see that I agree or deny button, remember that's not just about unlocking the app or unlocking the service. It actually could be unlocking you for somebody else's large language model. Now, Steve, let me see if Steve's still in the building. He's in a bad service area as he's traveling, so I'm not sure if he's yeah. Let me see. Pin.
Yo,
My
yo,
God.
that's good.
My God. Yeah. This is Steve. So we do have a couple new people that's on the call today. We do have a
Okay.
lot of members, but we do have a lot of new people that's here. I'm not sure if you were here when I did roll call in the beginning. But I just kind of walked them through the gamut. And yeah, I know you have some incredible words that you wanted to kind of share with them with this convenience stuff, this convenience handcuff situation.
Yeah, good stuff. I was on for probably 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I'm moving now, guys. I'm on a van, so I'm not like really feeling too inspired to deliver it probably the way I could have. Um, but either way. So I think what we have to be mindful of in the times that we're in and in the times that we're coming to is, and I've been preparing for this like indirectly, right? Just being a serial entrepreneur for the last fucking since I was a kid, right? 3 decades. Uh, Constantly on the quest of just doing for self, uh, constantly evolving, um, being what I would consider the biggest student, right, of just life. Not in traditional sense of student, right? Because let's be honest, most of us, if not all of us, have gone through a public school system or some type of system of training since we were younger, because it's mandated by law, right? And then you have some of us who went after. Now you have the option once you finish 12th grade. This I'm just speaking for America. You then have the option to go to, what they would consider continuing education, which would be college or some type of trade or something. And now we get back into what more teaching, right? Um, what I like to call indoctrination, right? Uh, Forms your habits, forms your thoughts, gives you the ability to create or not create. What I don't like about it is the ceiling that it puts on your ability to earn, your ability to learn, right? Because once you get in your career, you're almost stifled in a sense where it's just like this is kind of where we're at, right? So right now, it's the highest unemployment of college graduates ever, right now. All right.
Mhm.
Um, and if they're not being hired, then no one's being hired. Right, let's just face the facts. They're probably the most prepared for the new economy than anybody else. But now you have this rise of this new way of learning, right? It's self instruction. It's Skyton Academy. It's EYL. It's whatever. It's the non traditional form of gaining access to information, right?
Yeah,
The traditional form, we know what it is, right? It's debt. It's just it's a played out model, just like the model that came before it, and it's going to continue to evolve into a point where it just devolves itself. Like we are devolving as a human race. And what I mean by that is, I've watched even my dad growing up work. He's a blue collar worker. Um, work for others. No issue with that. That was just what it was for him. Now you get to a point where if you don't educate yourself, and I'm not telling you like find someone to tell you this is the next thing and this is how it's done. This is why I, for life, have been a serial entrepreneur. Not solely by choice, but I think by purpose. Understand, right? You start to align yourself with or identify yourself with who you are by what you do. Now that we're seeing it being stripped down, we're all being left naked to try to figure out, all right, what's next? So it's not crypto, it's not AI, it's not whatever you think it is, right? And I could speak even more clearly being out here for a couple months to start to realize like I've really never been around people who really didn't care about much of anything outside of just being, right? These people aren't chasing careers. These people aren't worried about what you have. These people are just trying to make a dollar for today, nothing more, nothing less, right? So I'm watching a totally different pace than the system of America, where everything is a go. Even the children in America are being trained to be work addicts and workhorses, right? Whether it be through sports, private activities, I mean, you name it. We are putting our children on a fast track to just like mental health and depression if you're not sprinkling in how to live, how to slow down, how to pull off the system, how to not rely on anything or anybody, myself included. Okay. So when you start to sit with yourself for as long as I have in the last couple months, and it's a lot, trust me, because I'm always of service to something here, there, everyone, right? So now I'm able to invest just solely in myself, and then the thoughts are starting to come in. So here's a download. You have this and you've been taught that you and I had a friend that came here and he's feeling bummed about losing his job and it's not a regular job, it's like a career talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I'm listening to him the last couple of days And what pained me the most about the whole conversation was the fact that he felt his worth. He felt he was worthless. He was like, I did everything right. Went to college. So I got the corporate. I went up the ladder. And now all of a sudden you're having interviews and it's just not materializing the way that it used to. Right. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, this is exactly what's going to happen to damn near every single person in the world, right? That relies on a system to create this stepping stone for whatever's next. If this, then that. Okay. Now, when you look at, we have this thing called a uh, predictable career ladder, right? And guys, I don't mess with this situation. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that this is for everybody, but I'm gonna tell you what's about to happen. So you have this predictive career ladder. We've all kind of been through it. Okay. You go to school, you get this job, and then what do? You work your way up the ladder. All right. Now, what's happening is that ladder is like, it's not there anymore. So now people don't know what to do. Okay. We've formed this lifestyle that America affords us, right? We've purchased the houses, the cars. Uh, they've even afforded us debt, right? Money that we don't have, money that we probably won't even make. They pre-funded everything, our education. Um, Now we owe, right? Let's be honest, we're only working because we're paying bills. We want to. We're only working because we're paying bills. And I'm gonna tell you this: as a serial entrepreneur who's done many things and lost many things, and I love the journey. But the best thing about it is the freedom that it affords me, and not the financial freedom. Like you may think whatever, but I'm not like sitting in it like how most people might think, right? It was the freedom to just be where I wanted just to be, right? Watch my kids grow up, never having to be out the house between the hours of 9 to 5, uh, being flexible where I didn't have to travel during the times that they told me I had to travel. The only thing that was restrictive to me in my life in the last since the beginning has been right now my kids' school schedule, right? Having to um, schedule around that stuff, having to travel when everybody else is traveling because everybody else is on spring break, right? Sheep and herd mentality. Like, why are we even subscribing to this shit? You know, it's been the biggest conversation with my wife and I in the last month since I've been out here. It's like, yo, why are we even subscribing to this? Get off the phones. You pull it away from them. I'm just speaking for my household, right? They're not crashing out. They're creating when they have that time away from these phones. So we see it. I don't care about data. I don't care what psychologists are saying. I'm just telling you, I'm living and breathing the reality of this technology every day and how it's affecting our lives, good, bad, or indifferent. Right? We're blessed enough to come from the era of not having it. So we know what it was like. They're not. Okay, so we have to find a way to mix that and we have to find a way to bridge that gap. We have to find a way to upskill and train ourselves so we could provide something for that future generation. So if you're figuring that our job market is dwindling, what do you think their job market is going to look like? And if they can't get the sense and purpose, then I can tell you that this country doesn't have a future. So when I'm sitting in Colombia and I'm like, man, this the slow motion stuff, when you first get here, it kind of gets to you. Then when you start to really sit in it, and I'm going by schools and just being really mindful, and it's like, wait, no, there's no kid with a cell phone out here. None. I'm Don't hold me to that number. I'm just telling you that they're not on these phones. They can't afford them. And it's probably the best thing that's happening to them and for them. All right. They're able to engage with each other. I'm sitting at restaurants at dinner, and we're the only ones on our cell phones. Everybody else is just engaging in conversation and just partaking in what they're there for. Okay. So you have this predictive career ladder. Everybody's doing the right thing. Now, all of a sudden, You feel like you're worthless because the jobs aren't calling or they're telling you you're overqualified. All right. So you have, I want to word this correctly. I don't want to make anybody like feel a certain way. We're entering dark times in America, right? Where technocrats and government are working hand in hand, and things don't have to go through. And I don't even care about the Constitution, but I'll just use the word, right? You don't have to go through the Constitution. They've clearly set the rules for us to play and abide by. Like Champ was telling you before, the terms and conditions that we click on every day aren't even optional. That's the part that's crazy. If they truly cared about somebody, we can use the products. And the saying was, if you aren't paying for the product, you are the product, right? So if you opt out and you don't accept the terms and conditions, you cannot use the product. All right. So out of sheer convenience, we are just giving up everything to these people, right? In exchange for what we would consider convenience. So when we enter convenience culture, it's like, but hold on, but we're paying more to operate now in this culture. It's not personal, it's profitable. All right. So now when you look at your inability to earn would then keep you relying on the very system that told you you had to learn this way. Now, when that system gets dismantled, they're building an entirely new system. And this is the part that people are missing because half the world is in survival mode right now. And when you're in survival mode and your back is to the wall, you're not thinking clearly. And this is where we're at right now in America, right? No one's thinking clearly. So you're seeing it, even if they told us, and they're telling us, but I'm just saying, even if they told us the playbook verbatim every day, there is nothing you can do because you're powerless. You relied on the system that's no longer giving you the stuff that gave you a little bit of power, right? A little bit of energy, a little bit of identity. So I love that I was born the way I was born, whether I ruffle feathers or not. I don't give a fuck about anything outside of myself and my family. Everything in between is something that you can create your own way with no hindrance, as long as you abide by whatever, I'm not saying you just do anything. All right. So when I've stripped things down to the most common denominator and not put any one thing based on my identity. So when people ask me what I do, it's not one thing, it's a multitude of things depending on the time. So I am evolving as the world's evolving. You guys are devolving, sitting in cubicles all day, asking for permission to go to lunch, asking for permission to go on vacation, asking for permission to have maternity leave, to then rush back to work to leave children into a system of oppression. Shit is dumb. I get it. We have a lifestyle. We got to work. What happens when work is gone? All right. So here's the play: social credit system in tow, right? Universal basic income in tow. Now, what you do is you form the largest control group known to man. So when they talk about one world order, this is what they're talking about. The rise of the internet created more independence, right? Because it goes against the original system was to track you Monday through Friday. I mean, it was well thought out, give you just enough and not too much to where your Saturdays and Sundays. I watched my father like didn't want to do anything more because he gave everything he had Monday through Friday just to provide for us. So at what point do you take life into your own hands, right? And start to research to figure out, and not even so much research, just really sitting with yourself, right? That independent journey on what do I really want in life, not what somebody else will do for you. Hold on one second.
Claro, amiga.
Sheesh. People that talk out here, man. Get me off of this van. All right. So, um, yeah, I'm gonna keep it short, man. My energy is not even like where it needs to be for this sort of conversation. I think this is one of those deeper situations. It
Hmm.
really is getting to the point of just, like knowing self, right? Because your identity is not wrapped around whatever you do. You know what I'm saying? Like once you go down that rabbit hole and that becomes that, and guys, I'm not making it seem like this is an easy thing. I'm just telling you that because we're in the information age, because so much truth is coming out, because they can't hold back Babylon anymore. And for those of you who are on the rabbit hole, you understand what I'm saying? Like we know everything about these people and their makeup, and there's absolutely nothing we can do about it, right? And the one clamp that they have on us is they understand us more than we understand ourselves, right? The one thing I can tell you about the algorithm, regardless of how I mentioned good, bad, or indifferent, I can tell you that my algorithm gives me exactly who I am in that present moment. Nothing more, nothing less. When I did goofy, it was goofy, right? As I elevate, it elevates. So I am still the master of my situation, no matter how much of my data is out there. The biggest thing is I can't be manipulated with anything opposite of what I believe in, right? And I would hope and bless that everybody can just get to that point of not being swayed by any one piece of information, good, bad, or indifferent, because that's the problem right now. They got us so off kilt that even if you were faced with the truth, you wouldn't even know what to do with it. And that's the scariest part about where we at right now. Even if they came out and said they all did this, that, and that, everything was proven, you would still vote. You would still allow them to have the power because people as a whole need to be led. And in our community, we have lack of leadership. We know what happened to many of our leaders, right? And then as I even study their patterns, I'm like, I see where they all kind of tripped up a little bit, right? When you start getting into this, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Integration, right? That's the worst. And I'm not talking about race. I'm just talking about integration. Like, no, no, I should not be sitting at the same table in the same room with anybody, just any old body, right? So this is why we created this Skyton Academy situation, which allows anyone who can line up with our intentions to just come. So I hear all y'all messages. Yes, we should be bigger, but like my wife was saying, that's not what it's meant for, because that's not where people are at. So it's just really the signs of the time. Biggest doesn't make it the best. So let's keep
Hmm.
it small and trim, because I just don't want everybody around me. And to know me is to love me. And if I give y'all time, just know I care for y'all.
For real.
But what I won't do is I'm not yelling from the mountaintops anymore. I'm not, I've managed my page. I've been off of that, but I'm ready to just be done with this whole shit. Because to be honest with you, we ain't even got much more time at the end of the day. So what it
Hmm.
really comes down to is really just the understanding of self. And if we can't get to that point, because when you just think about from the time you got to kindergarten all the way to whatever the final destination was in education, how much of it was even wrapped around who you are and self-awareness? How much of it was wrapped around mental health, right? So you figure since the last time we probably talked about health was when? Probably gym class,
Yeah.
or that white chick used to come in with them white cups to give you fluoride to calcify your shit.
Hmm.
That was the last time we talked about health and educational system. And then what they did was they created this system of hierarchy. Trust the professionals, trust the professionals, trust the professionals. Even if they told you it was poison, you would still take it. You are the professional. It's a hard pill to swallow, but I can tell you it's a matter of life and death right now. Keep trusting anything outside of yourself and watch what happens. And my wife loves to tell the kids, trust everything. Don't trust, how she say it? You know the saying. Don't trust anything except for your own intuition.
There you go.
Even what we tell them, that's how she ends it. So she even puts herself in it. So if we're telling you, find the information, put it against each other, sit with it, and then make informed decisions. We got to start trusting our intuition, guys. It's the only thing we have that they don't really control when we tap into it. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, and I'm just pulling it together. I'm not saying this any one person on this call, but you guys are fucking weak. That's been the conversation in my household. It's really just coming down to this fucking weak at this point now. I'm not making any more excuses for people. We've all been put through this ringer and this blender. Guys are fucking weak. That's it. You can't make a decision for yourself without asking somebody. You're constantly asking for permission. You are an adult and you're making it hard for people like me who are just trying to live. I don't want to be in these systems, but somehow I have to be dragged into it because of the weak. If we ain't all free, and none of us are free, I'm gonna ride with that. But I'm telling you that if you part of this academy, stop with the weak shit. Stop with the professional told me this. Stop, stop, stop. We're putting information in front of you that's valuable. Just take heed to it. I'm not saying don't trust a professional. I'm just telling you that they've been trained by somebody. And unless you follow that rabbit hole to understand, and all you got to do is follow the money, you'll start to understand the system of America. And then you can stop being a product of this country. That's why I left. Because when you go to other markets who haven't been manipulated by this system, it's going to take years for that to come in play, if it ever does. And this is why America colonizes, because they want it all on one accord to be able to track everybody's movements, to give you to put you in a square box radius. And for me, what bugs me out about these technocrats is, and you got to know that these guys are all on the spectrum. So it's not personal; they're just retarded. And I'm not like nothing against people that were born like that, but they're just really born on the spectrum. A bunch of white males who don't get buns, sit in front of a computer, and they see X's and O's, I and O's all day.
Straight up.
They have no feeling.
Yeah.
And in turn, these are the guys that we're giving all our information to, that's shaping the course of humanity. Love.